for that wonderful introduction. It's my pleasure to be here. I see a lot of friends here. I got to set my stuff up like a typical teacher. You know, you got to set things out and make sure everything's ready. So, I'd like to thank David for giving me this opportunity to speak to you today. It's my first time here at Living Water Unity to speak to all of you. I've been really active in a lot of different groups. Some of you have heard my stories. If you've heard some of these stories, don't give the punchline away, okay? All right. I did grow up in a Unity household. Basically, we lived by the golden rule. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. And we saw challenges and problems more as opportunities for learning. Although I didn't start going to a Unity church until I was 9 years old or 10 years old or so, we did grow up with those principles in our households. In fact, my grandmother and grandfather, my dad's parents, brought their children to the Lutheran church. And they would go religiously to this Lutheran church. And then when they came back home from church on Sunday morning, Grandma and Grandpa would disappear. And this happened week after week, year after year. And finally, my dad was a teenager. He says, "Mom, where do you guys go on Sunday morning?" And she says, "Well, you know, we didn't want to confuse you kids. We brought you to the Lutheran church. But Dad and I used to go to a Unity group." They actually went to a Unity church without their kids. So they were very spiritual people. And my grandmother's favorite saying was, "Expect a miracle." Miracles are all around us if we look for them. We have opportunities to see grace in our lives and create miracles through service, prayer, and intention. Jesus, in fact, gave us directions. Oops. And I want to, hold on a second. Yes, Jesus' directions are some of them are in Matthew chapter 6, verse 1 through 4. "When you give alms, do not have it trumpeted before you. This is what the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets to win human admiration. In truth, I tell you, they have had their reward. But when you give alms, your left hand must not know what your right is doing. Your almsgiving must be a secret. And your Father, who sees all that is done in secret, will reward you openly." Anything done or given as charity can be considered alms in this case. Money, food, time, other donations. So I don't like to trumpet. I don't tell a lot of people about things I've done, and I'm certainly no better than any of you. We're all doing good things in every way we can. Yes, I retired 5 years ago already. I take after my dad's youthful appearance. He says he's 69, so I guess that means to be 49, right? I'll take that. The teachers that are in the room and not present today, Terry, Sharon and Norm Fricke, Chris Gabrielson, Sandy Stanley, can relate to the stress involved in being a teacher. And so they know that retiring makes you a lot younger. My friends at school, my coworkers at school said, "Well, Pam, you're so young. What are you going to do as a retired teacher?" And I knew that, first of all, David Ridge wanted me to put in more volunteer hours. I knew that I was going to be doing a lot more volunteering. He would ask me, "Are you going to be our youth ed coordinator now?" I said, "No, I'm not retired yet." So once I retired, I started taking that over. It was my intention to be an English as a second language tutor, to use my schooling in a one-on-one situation rather than in the classroom situation. So I kept telling these people, say, "What are you going to do? What are you going to do?" "I'm going to tutor English as a second language students here in the Arvada area." I had no idea that that was actually going to happen except with my faith. I knew that was what I was going to do. Lo and behold, I received the opportunity to work with a family of immigrant children. 4 children from 6th grade down to preschool who were just adopted from Taiwan. They had very, very, very little English skills. They were adopted by a Caucasian man, dad, and a Taiwanese mom. The Taiwanese mom, was really tired of translating all the time. She really wanted her kids to learn English as quickly as possible. So I came into this family and started tutoring this family 10 hours a week. And that was my additional income after I retired teaching. I'm still working with that family, although it's pretty occasional now. The oldest one is 16, and he hardly needs me anymore. They have a nanny. It turns out that the mother moved back to Taiwan, and the dad is raising these 4 kids, and they have a nanny in the household helping make meals and clean the house and look after the kids. And if the nanny can't do it, they call on me, and I'm very, very happy to go over and spend time with these kids. I've had about 650 kids in my life in my classrooms, but none of my own, so I just love doing that. So it's a service, and it's a passion of mine to help kids. One day I went over to take care of the kids, and I drove my Saturn, and I took them swimming, and I brought them back, and I in my Saturn, you have to separate the ignition key from the main keys when you're driving, because otherwise that heavy part of the keys will weigh down the ignition key, and there could be a technical issue with the Saturn. So every time I get out of my car, I separate my keys. Well, I got out of my car at these kids' household after taking them back from swimming lessons, and I put my keys back. I was fiddling with my keys. I went and did the rest. I helped Jason put the big screen in the window because it was a hot, sunny day. And I went and did my thing for a couple hours, came back, went to go home after Dad came home to relieve me, could not find my ignition key. I was stuck at the kids' house with their dad, could not find it anywhere. Looked all around the ground, looked in the sofa, looked everywhere for this key throughout the whole, emptied out the glove box, everything, could not find my key. So the dad had to take me back home to get the extra key. So I went, they live at about here. Paul? Oh well, it doesn't work. So the family lives over here, right off Kipling and 73rd. So they took Dad and the kids, the whole group, had to take me from their house all the way to my house, go all the way back to the Saturn with this extra key. So I get in the car, I go up 73rd, go down Kipling, go to 72nd, pass Wadsworth, go up Pierce, take a right, go up 77th Avenue, or Newland, take a right on 77th, and just as I turn right on 72nd, like less than a block from my house, a key comes sliding down my windshield. Is that physics? Or is that a miracle? You know, I like to see little things like that as happenstances, as miracles. Yeah, it's physics. Somehow or other it ended up. My key was on my sunroof, and I never ever saw it. I was always looking down. I never saw it on top of my car. And there it was. Angels were protecting me. God's hand was in it, whatever you want to say, but it's a miracle in my mind. I think the more you do service, and the more good you do in the world, and the more aware you are of miracles, good things like that will happen to you. I discovered Invisible Acts of Power, Personal Choices That Create Miracles by Carolyn Meese. I found this in David and Pat's books that they were giving away. They're former members here, and they had a giveaway, and I found that. And I thought, oh, that'd be perfect. Carolyn Meese has a couple wonderful quotes about, one of them about service. All forms of service essentially empower a soul. Remind yourself that you can provide this power in many ways: encouragement, hope, kindness, and a nod of approval. And then notice and appreciate synchronicity. Keep an open mind. Keep an open mind. On the next slide. Okay. And I think whenever you give prayer, God is listening. God surely listens, understands, and knows the hopes and the fears and that you keep in your heart. For when you trust in his love, miracles happen. This prayer congregation does produce miracles also. We have some wonderful people on our prayer team. I happened to send out the prayer requests, and one Sunday during our cares, concerns, and celebrations, I had just gotten back from visiting my dad. This cat had walked into his life a number of years ago, and my dad loved this cat, and this cat was his one and only buddy down in Albuquerque. But when Paul and I went to see him Father's Day weekend a year ago, this is what Hunter looked like. He was pretty sick. He was really sick. Paul and I are like, oh my gosh, that cat had gone down from 12 pounds to 4 pounds or so, and it was really sad. So about 10 days after Paul and I left, after Paul and I got back, we asked for prayers for my dad's cat, Hunter. And about 10 days after we left, Dad brought the cat to the vet. He says, the cat is really, really sick. And I think it's time that we need to put him down. He's just so sick, it's so sad to see him this way. The vet says, we don't put cats down that have diabetes. We're going to take care of this kitty. And all you have to do is pay for one diabetes shot, and we'll take care of him, and we'll see that he gets a good home. Well, we thought, Paul and I thought, oh no, that cat is too sick, But we put our faith in God. We kept the prayers going out. Lo and behold, this cat got better. It took a few months, but he got better. Dad's friend happened to be by the vet's office and saw a sign. Available for adoption, Hunter. Hunter was adopted about 4 months after Dad left him at the vet. Now, is that a coincidence? No, it could be. Could be a coincidence. But I think God works in mysterious ways. We had no idea what to ask God for. We just asked God for a solution. Amazingly, God provided the solution. It was a gift of grace that Hunter got adopted. Grace is difficult to capture in one definition. It's gratis. It's a gift. Theology says that grace means unmerited divine assistance, aid coming from God. We humans are blessed to be both generators and receivers of grace. Coincidences and accidents, you might not feel grace right away, but one time I got a call. I was on my way to see my friend Pat on the other side of town in Aurora, and she called me real quick, and I was running out the door, and she called me. So I had to stop and answer the phone and talk to her. And on my way, I discovered I had just missed an accident. If I had left when I wanted to leave before Pat called, I might have been involved in that. I think grace is all around us, and we just need to pay attention to it. Medicine can also give us miracles. Yeah, it's science. That's what some people say. I think along with prayer and intention, medicine can help provide us with wonderful, wonderful miracles. Unfortunately, President Kennedy and First Lady Jackie lost their third child. August 7th, 1963, she gave birth to a baby at, some say 34 and a half weeks, some say 37 weeks. But the baby, Patrick, was 4 pounds, 10 ounces when he was born. He was a little bit preemie and small, but he had respiratory distress syndrome, and he lived for only 39 hours. This was in 1963, a 4-pound baby. So if somebody were to be born 5 years earlier than that, in the late 1950s, and was less than 4 pounds, do you think that baby would have a chance? This little baby is 2 pounds, 10 ounces, was 2 pounds, 10 ounces at birth. This baby is somebody that was born about 10 years ago, but 2 pounds, 10 ounces looks like that at 2 days old. This baby, there is a baby that was given a 15% chance of survival in the late 50s. This baby was put into an incubator, and a couple months before they discovered that the incubator system was blinding children. Stevie Wonder was given so much oxygen in his incubator when he was born that he became blind shortly after birth. A couple months before this 15% chance of survival baby was born, they figured that out. They had to take a blood test and figure out how much oxygen was right. I was that baby. 2 pounds, 10 ounces, given a 15% chance of survival. If I tell you what year, I'd tell you how old I am, but it was the late 50s, let's just say that. So my dad had intentions that I be a spiritual person. And I did grow up to be a spiritual person. The incubator that I lived in for 2 months looked something like this next slide coming up. And when I was born, there were no NICUs. I was the smallest baby ever to be born in St. Francis Hospital in Milwaukee. Incubator kind of looked like that. And I spent my very first Christmas in that. But in 1963, when Patrick's little baby Patrick was born, he needed a lot of extra help, and there wasn't help for him much either. So President Kennedy, before he died, before he was assassinated, helped start neonatal intensive care units for children because of Patrick's death. What Patrick's death sparked medical advances that did for the survival of preemies what Sputnik did for the space race. Psalms 139, verse 13 through 14 says, "For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb." God did that. "I praise you because I am wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well." So was it science that helped me survive and not Patrick? Or was it a miracle? There are things that happen in life that we just can't understand. But God's hand is in it somehow, and we just need to see the grace in it. So if you give service to humanity, you give prayers, especially prayers of thanks, and you have positive intentions in things that you do, that you're about to do, then it's possible that more miracles will come to your awareness. All you have to do is be attentive. Albert Einstein said, "There are only 2 ways to live your life. One is that as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as if everything is. Here's another miracle for you. These little cards are the prototypes that Kay Johnson created, and they are gifts for you from me. So hold them in your hand, and if I could get a couple volunteers to pass these out. One per person would be wonderful. Take a look at that. It might be just what you needed to hear today. So, Myrtle Fillmore said, "So get busy using the truth you know. Bring forth your own joyous worlds of love, friendship, beauty, and plenty. God is giving everything required to build such a world. There is within you the God-given intelligence to build such a world. Get at it. Expect a miracle." If you would take a look at your card, we're going to get ready for meditation. And we'll start meditation with "I cast all my cares on you." And the book I was referring to is Invisible Acts of Power by Carolyn Meese. And if you want to learn more about intentions, I strongly recommend the Intender's Handbook by Tony Burrows. And I'd be happy to start an Intenders group again if you would like to. Thank you. Close your eyes if you wish. And picture a yellow brick road from The Wizard of Oz. Follow this yellow brick road. It may be a path that will reveal to you in some time that miracle you are looking for. Program your intuition to tell you life is a journey. Notice what is around you and act on opportunities that present themselves. The decisions and choices that we make help us develop our inner strength. This is how we all become empowered human beings. Using our intuition, using our personal power, increases it. Use your compassion and your sense of purpose. And be present to the guidance that directs you. Take this moment to be quiet and listen to the guidance that you have received. May I always be guided to live a life of service that benefits humanity and the quality of my own spiritual journey. Let us acknowledge this sacred moment by singing Alleluia.